Hello and welcome to Soaring with Guests. My guest today is Ejiro Osakede. Please welcome her to the show. Ejiro!
Miss Mel!
From another mister.
Oh yes, sister.
Oh no, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm good, I'm good.
A big congratulations to the success of the Becoming Summit. Oh my gosh.
So good. So good.
I attended day 1 and day 3. Couldn't attend day 2 because I was doing my own course. But, I've got the recording and everything. See, we'll go into it much later, as we talk. But I just brought here because I'm like, listen, we have to discuss that summit because it was on another level. Honestly. So first off, big congratulations to you.
Thank you so much.
And please tell us the story. How did you birth this summit? Tell me all about it, I beg.
How did I birth it? I think so. This is it. From the first edition, the first edition started like, okay, International Women's Day was coming. I really wanted to celebrate women. And I thought, okay, let me just have every episode in the Afrocentrist podcast feature women from different parts of the world. And that was the first idea that came. But at the time, I was in a mastermind with Ejiro. And so she was like, instead of doing that, why not just do a summit to commemorate the day? And I'm like, oh, that's really a good one. And apparently, it was later that I discovered that I had actually planned with somebody else, who had another outfit for women, to run a conference or a virtual summit for, International Women's Day 2021. We already sat down, mapped it out, how we're going to, we had that plan, but I don't even know what happened. The thing just fell out and I forgot about it. And so when Ejiro mentioned it, I'm like, okay, that's not a bad idea. Okay. But I'm like, oh, how much time do I have? This was in February. I'm like, okay. March 8th. Okay, let's see. Like, okay, definitely, we don't even have to do it on the 8th because the whole month is dedicated to women. I think it was in March that there was still Modern Sunday or something like that. I'm like, okay, so we'll just do, towards the middle and the end of March. And so I started reaching out to women like, I'm putting together the summit. So please, would you be available to speak? And they were like, oh yeah, I would be, yeah. Because apparently I'd started reaching out to women for the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just told them, you know what, instead of podcast, let's just do a summit. And some of them were like, oh yeah, that's good. I'm okay, I'm available. I'm like, okay, fine. So I confirmed the date and then, the rest was history. It happened. I was so elated because of the yeses I got. I'm like, oh my God, thank you. And it went well. And immediately we ended that one. That day, I knew. I think it was 21st of March because it was 1890. It was 21st in March. And I'm like, on the 21st of March, I just knew. And then somebody reached out to me, with a word of knowledge. And like, this is something. I'm like, God, I am ready. Wherever I want to take this, I am ready to go. But immediately we finished that, I was still thinking, wow, I can't believe it. I just, hosted a virtual summit with people from across the globe. Like, wow, God, I'm grateful. And I was still in the Thanksgiving mode. Like, the next one is coming. And the next one will be for men. I'm like, okay, men, okay. And I said, I hope it will, because after that, I just knew, okay, you know what, God, I would like to do this every end of the quarter. So March marking the end of first quarter, meaning July and June, September and December would be the months that I wanted to run it this year. And I'm like, God, if this is the only thing I do this year consistently, I want to make it, I want to do this. And I'm ready anyhow you want to lead me, And so when I got the men, I'm like, I hope it will fall into something to celebrate men. And so when I checked whether there was International Men's Day. I think that's in November or something. And I checked like Father Day is June. I said, Father, thank you. Perfect. And then the thing just came. I started thinking like, what would men talk about? Because we talked about leadership in women in leadership for the women. I'm like, what would you talk about for men? And it just came, servant leadership. I'm like, okay, this is good. And then the name came, the title came, the theme came, and I started Googling it like, please, before I go and talk something that does not exist, what is servant leadership? And that was when I found out that there's a whole work on it. by Dr. Robert Greenleaf about servant leadership. And I'm like, perfect. What a perfect title. What a way to celebrate men, to really talk about leadership. And when I started looking deep into it, men are leaders on many fronts. Forget this, talk of feminism and all of that. God made it that way. When he created man, he said, you will be the head. You are the lead in your house, right? He even used the example of the Trinity. He's the Godhead. He's the head. I'm like, men are connected to leadership. So it's great. Let us talk about servant leadership, because even the way we're experiencing these leaders, both in the family, in the workplace, in the government, we are not enjoying it. And so we need to start talking about what's the problem. Is it because people are just there because of the position, because of the power, rather than really serving the people, right? And so that was how it came. And then I started reaching out. When I wrote the list of the names at first, I froze. I'm like, hey, God, how am I supposed to reach out to these people? I reached out to Ejiro again, like, hey, see the list of names. I don't know how I'm going. He said, girl, you go and do this and go and do what you have to do. What's the worst that what they say no, right? I only got one no. And it wasn't even a no. It was sorry, Ejiro. That time, I would also have a class and I won't be able to attend. I'm like, okay, no problem. That was the only one. And then I think one other person didn't just respond. Just like, okay. And he didn't respond. I'm like, no, voila, we'll leave it like that. And that's how I now stayed on the list of speakers, because I'm like, okay, I'm not a man. Even though I have my own perception, but I want the men to talk about it. I'm just going to host it. But then when one person didn't respond, I'm like, you know what? I'll actually talk about my perspective on the matter. And that was how I became one of the speakers at the event. I'm like, and Didi was like, how can you put a summit together? You don't have anything to say. What's rubbish? I'm like, it's not like I don't have anything to say, but I just felt say no. Which I'm like, okay, no problem. God is able. Because the thing is, with me and God, I just feel like God has a special way of dealing with me, right? And he's been dealing with me really this year. He's been dealing with me, and I just kind of have those conversations like, hey, God, what are you doing? I'm ready, but just give me expo sometimes. But the way God deals with me is so peculiar that I see the way and I hear the way other people talk about it. And sometimes it doesn't really resonate deeply with me, when you feel like, oh, this is how God is talking to this person. But me, I'm not hearing anything. God, what's going on? But this whole thing just made me realize that God has a peculiar way of speaking to me and leading me. Mine is just to stay put and obey and follow the lead and all of that. And so for me, this journey was really one of it was a tough journey, because I'm like, God, I can't even believe this is like I can't believe I'm pulling this off. Like it can't be me. I kept telling God, like, God, this can't be me. Like, it's not me. This is you, because I don't even understand how this is happening, but I'm grateful. I am grateful, and I'm a vessel, and I'm available to you.
Wow. Oh my gosh. You kind of answered my second question, but I want to know, please, how did you get those caliber of people on your how did you do it? I need some tips, baby girl. I need some tips.
I think you're already on track.
House that you had, like, oh my gosh, please, how did you get them? First of all, right? Do you know all of them personally? And then how did you go about like meeting them, getting them to kind of believe in your vision and just like speak? Please just let me know. How did you, how?
I really, I couldn't have even articulated it as it were now if I had not even heard, PJ talk about it during the summit. Jimmy Terry talked about it in a way, and that was how I connected the dots myself. That day I was like, I was in tears backstage, like, God, I can't even believe it. Like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Like, are you really serious, God? I am grateful because I can't explain it. All along I've been saying, when I look at the list and when all of them said yes, I'm like, hey, God, is this for real? Like,
can I just say, before you continue, you didn't realize that you are the epitome of what you are teaching about. Servant leadership.
Gosh.
Epitome of it. You didn't realize.
Gosh. When Jimmy Tewe said it, I'm like, God, I see you. Yeah. I see what you're doing. Yeah. And I'm blown away, like, God, I am grateful that, gosh, do you get, like, I can't explain, like, seriously. So people now come like, oh, want to do it? Let me. I'm like, hey, you don't understand. I didn't do this.
Yeah.
Because I don't understand how it could be possible. These are busy people.
I know.
And they could have, and I can't do anything about it. They said they were busy. But I just reached out, did one, write up, sent to them. And most of them were like, okay, Ejiro, you know what? Just talk to my PA and ensure she follows me up. That's it. Some of the speakers never spoke to me again till the time of, like, I was just sending messages just to remind them. But even some did not respond. And I'm like, hey, God, hey, I don't put poster outside. Hey, I don't. I don't make noise. But you know what, sis? Hey, I am the captain of this colony of 50 trillion cells.
That part.
Regardless of whatever happens, my default response is peace. Yo, sis, that came alive for me this season. You don't even want to understand, because personally, on personal ground, I was a mess. Like, I had challenges that was like this. And I'm like, God, this challenge not the end. I don't even know where the boldness and the confidence came from. I just kept telling, see, challenge is not the, I had to do a blog post about it, just to put it out there to shut down, the negative voices. Like, see, you will stay here. And if I now sit down with you, I'll be looking at you, trying to figure you out and leave this assignment I'm supposed to do. This assignment timing will pass, and then you will still be there, or you will get solved eventually. So why would I now waste my time focusing on it? Like, no, my default response is peace. Oh, sis, that came, like that line in that affirmation kept coming alive for me every day. Like, I would literally get a very, very sad news, and I'm like, regardless of whatever happens, my default response is peace. And I don't even know how I did it, but I was able to put aside my personal challenges and went zoning on this one thing. So I'm like, God, on very many levels in my life, I feel like I'm not together. I feel like I'm getting things wrong. I feel like, God, I don't understand it. I'm learning. I'm trying my possible best. What is going on? Why am I not getting resolved? What is different about me? But then, God is just amazing, because I would be worried on this level, and then on this level, everything is going smoothly. And I'm like, God, what are you doing? What's going on? What's going on? At some point, like one of these days, I think it was before the summit or during the summit, something happened and I needed to make a payment for something. And I didn't have the cash at hand. So I told the person, okay, I was going to say to the person later. But then when I got on, I'm like, oh God, I didn't plan for this expense before. And what's all this? Like, God, what do you want me to do? And I started crying and all of that. I started praying. I'm like, God, what do you want me to do? I'm tired. I don't even know what to do. And then in the midst of my prayer, somebody called. I was still struggling. Like, God, should I pick this call? Should I not pick this call? Who is this one calling me during prayer? And then I picked the call. Guess what? The person called and said, you know what? About yesterday, don't worry. I sorted it out. And I was crying. And immediately after the call, I started laughing. I started laughing. I said, God, this cannot be a coincidence. That was you. That was you. Like, there is this huge mountain in front of me. But God is speaking to me through these little valleys and through these little, hills. Like, don't worry. See that mountain. Let it just stay put with me. And I'm like, God, whatever it is you are doing, I'm all in it. I'm all for it too. So that please help me. Like that man that said in the Bible to just help my own belief. I believe that there is miracle. I believe that God can do the impossible. But my human mind is still in a tug of war to say, see, look at what is before you. Look at what's before you. What's going on? How are you going to surmount this mountain? So it's just a struggle. But through this season, God really came through for me and showed me that, you know what?
I got
challenges will always be there. and I got you, I got you, but just stay put, just keep. I feel like God is like, you see your eye that is shaking everywhere. You must sit down with me. You this girl. You must. I'm like, okay, God, I'm ready. But it was just a fluctuation. But I'm just grateful that throughout the pre-planning, through the summit, and after, all of these things did not even it felt like I packaged it, put it inside a box, and kept it to one side, like it didn't exist.
Ejiro, please, can we talk about your tech savviness? Because when I was looking at this thing, first off, let me just be completely honest with you. When I saw the names of the speakers, I was like, okay, this is nice. I was like, okay, I'm sure she's pre-recorded these things and she will play it live. Ejiro, these people came on live. I'm like, how are you techie? I'm just like, see, I need to up my tech game because I thought I could do techie stuff. But Ejiro has shown me that, girl, you're just starting. As in, from one live, the next speaker comes into the room, then the next. I'm like, I didn't even know all of this was possible to do in a live video. The level of your videos, right? Your YouTube, the level was better than even some of these YouTubers. I don't even think they know how to do half of what you did on that summit. Because I watch these things now. I'm on YouTube. I watch you. Listen, see, people are learning work where it comes to you. Let me just let you know. Please, I beg, tell me about this, your tech journey. How are you doing all the stuff that you do? And this is just small compared to all the stuff you do in tech,
And the funny thing is, the truth is, I don't even realize these things are. People will come to me like, you are doing something like, and I don't feel like, really, am I doing anything extraordinary? No, I don't think so. I don't even see it. Seriously, sis, I don't see it. Because I'm like, well, everybody should know this thing. What's there? What's in it? But the thing with me is, I already have it in my head. That's one thing I'm trying to work on, right? I have it all in my, once I see it, I play it out from beginning to the end, and I know how I want it to be. So the funny thing is, I've had people come to me and like, oh, how did you come up with your plan and everything? What template do you use? I'm like, I didn't use any template though. It will just come to me and I just act on it. That's it. Literally, for example, day 1, day 2, my intro video was pre-recorded. You will think it was live. It was pre-recorded. And I recorded them hours to the event. The night before day 1, I wanted to go to bed, I was sleeping, and I could, literally, the thing would just flash in my head the way it is. I'll quickly on my I write it down, hey, God. I'm like, God, let me sleep now. Which kind? How you just, something would just, I did, it flashed in my head, why not do an introduction? What I would say came, and I did it in that flash. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll quick write it down so that I don't forget, And then the next one, would I be able to do it? Because then putting on makeup and sometimes it's just tiring. I'm like, would I be able to do it? So no, hours to do it. Girl, would you stand up and do this thing? Okay. I made up, and I did the recording 1 take. Most of my recordings are 1 takes. There are only few that I have to do repeatedly. So these things come to me easily, right? But I know that I'm still, I know these things. I don't know. I know, but I guess I'm just a very inquisitive person, and I try to try my hands on different things. I love those techie stuff. I love a fizzy with text. I love it. And I also am prone to wanting to be original. That's one thing with me. I want to do it my way. I want to do it differently from how others are doing it. It's the same thing with my YouTube videos. I know that, YouTube videos, when you do today, blah, 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 then you do the montage. And my own is do the montage, enter the show, let's go on, what's going on? But then, I think it's just a matter of, okay, looking at, what's working, what's not working. And then, I'm getting into that space now where I'm beginning to say, okay, let me see. Maybe I'm not getting the kind of result I want. A lot of people are saying, oh, you're doing fantastic, but I'm not getting the type of result that I set out to get. So I'm like, okay, what's going on? And so now I'm trying to pay attention, to say, okay, what is working with others? Can I try it out? It's just that it's a struggle for me. It's a struggle for me because I have that tendency to feel like I'm copying somebody. And I don't want to do that. But at the end of the day, there are models already. So I struggle to get it, right? So, but it's a work in progress. But the techie part is just that I've just always been very handy with stuff, especially tech stuff. I'm a gadget freak, for example. I love to work on phones, apps, and all of those things. Like, how does it work? What's going on here? I just love to be inquisitive. And when I find something I like, I stay with it and sit down there and become like, hey, you didn't even know you can do this with this thing. Yes, you can. That's how I came about the techie stuff. I mean, I use StreamYard. Everybody uses StreamYard, but I don't know, maybe they just look at how they can use it better and, and all of that. So,
I think that you are a creative genius and you're the kind of person that if you find something, you will utilize every single bit of it. So what you've done is you've discovered every way you can use that thing and you've utilized it, properly. Anyway, you
thank you.
Let me just calm down because honestly. Anyway, so my final question to you is, what things have you learned and how has it changed you since the first Becoming Summit to this Becoming Summit?
So I've learned to trust my instincts some more. Like the fact that maybe I've not seen somebody else done it before. It doesn't mean that somebody else has not done it before. I probably have just not seen it. And so I am now a firm believer that there's really nothing new under the sun, really. Everything as somebody has done it before. But we all still have our unique touches to it.
They've not done it.
Yes, they don't have my energy. They don't. You don't understand. Like, they don't have my energy. They don't. I know sometimes it could feel like, oh, I've been in so many places so much that it felt like your gragra is too much, right? And it wants to make me just mellow and do all of those things. But the truth is, when I'm in my habitat, when I'm with all my energy, I still see people people will literally just see me and be like, I love your energy, right? So, I mean, the people who will love it, but the people who can't handle it will not be able to handle it. So I cannot now dim my light because of those people. Because this is who I am. Because for a very long time, I was doing that just to please people. I'm a recovering people pleaser, right? So with the summit is one way I feel God is teaching me to really look to Him first and really believe in myself, right? And yes, I need the affirmations. I need to know that whatever it is I'm working or whatever it is I'm doing is making an impact in somebody's life, even if it's one person. I'm a believer of that. Like, it could just be one person that needed to attend that Becoming Summit. It could be one person that needed to hear one thing from just one of the speakers at that summit. And so that God has used me as a vessel to put that summit together. I'm just privileged, right? So it has taught me to believe in myself. I'm still growing in that because I'm like, what have I done? Like, now it's gone. Then it's also teaching me to, during that time, I was listening to books, still attending my courses, my coaching classes and all of that, and because I'm an active person, I'm an hyperachiever and all of that, I just like to do, I'm done. This is done. I'm like, next, but this time around, it's like, hey, calm down, chill, sit down. Can you enjoy this success? Even if it's tiny, can you enjoy it? I'm like, okay, God, I'm trying to, I'm like, time is going. God, what's the next thing we need to do? So I'm learning to, kind of enjoy it, take a break, just be there and then enjoy. And then while I'm thinking of the next thing that I need to do. But also this, preparation for all of this before, during, and after also taught me patience. Man, gosh. I mean, the first one when I had with women, I didn't need to remind them all the time, right? Like, so for some of the, speakers that I had to remind, like I literally just sent a whole episode and somebody would be like, please, when am I speaking? I'm like, go, can't you see? But I think it made me understand men a tiny bit more better. Like, see, men are really, really logical, like super logical. Just tell them, just go straight to the point. Don't, like, me, I will do my, okay, good to, how are you doing today? I hope everything is fine. Okay, this is what we're doing, right? Their own is one thing that they need. Please, what time am I speaking? Simple. Like, I'm like, seriously? Okay, that I've learned about men. Like, when you want to approach a man for something, just go straight to the point. There's no need to there's no need to beat around the bush. Just tell them the information they need and they're okay. I'm like, wow, this is interesting. Like, I didn't even like I didn't realize this, but at least I've learned that now. Like, okay, I'll be more. But it got me patient. And I think that line in that affirmation just was my anchor. Because when on a good day before now, when I see the thing in my head, and then there is something that happens that changes it a little bit, I'm scattered. Like I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? I'll just be very, very restless. But this time around, immediately something goes the way I don't want it. The next thing is my default response is peace, and I just smile and laugh about it, and then the solution for me to handle it will come. Right. So I mean, because at some point, let me just give this gist. So one of the speakers was all the way from New Zealand, and I didn't even think about the timing. That was one error I think I made with the timing. Right. I was just thinking basically about Nigerians. I forgot that this is a global event, right? And so I didn't check all the time zones. So he's all the way from New Zealand. So he should have been like maybe 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. his time. And so we already sent out, we already put the timing, I already gave everybody their timing. And that was when he now came back like, this timing will not work for me. Can you move me to another day? I'm like, no, I already planned the days and the topics, it's consecutive. That won't work. I'm like, okay. It was painful. And I'm like, hey, God, does this mean that this person is not going to show up? I'm like, no, my default response is peace. And I just slept over it. And the next is like, madam, tell him to do a video now. You will not, you did not, it was a record, it was pre-recorded.
We did not know.
And that was how that came. I'm like, hey, God, this is smooth. Thank you, Lord. And we didn't even mention it.
Wow.
So we didn't mention it on the summit. Like, this person just cued it in, and it felt like, just made the excuse like, the person cannot wait for the panel session. The person has to leave. Like, wow. You people enjoyed it. You got the message, right? So my default response is peace. That is such a strong anchor.
There is always a solution. There is always a solution.
There is.
Even if the solution is to let it go. Man, Ejiro, can I just, I love you. I think you are amazing. I think you are a genius. I cannot wait to see, I know that your destiny is powerful, is great. I'm going to work with you. Don't know what we're going to work on, but honestly, you're the kind of person that this one is going to be in my life forever. Because when you see greatness, you just stay close to it.
Thank you.
So I'm so looking forward to it. I just have to tell everybody to please, can people still register to get the recording?
The replay, absolutely. It's there now. So once you make the payment, you get the link, the PDF file that has the link and the password to it, and then you can get access to it. I feel like I won't feel like because it was jammed. And thank God after that, I'm like, okay, this is the middle of the year. Let me get some feedback from people. So I sent out a form, an anonymous form. In fact, I can still send it out because anybody that is watching that knows me or something, I need more information. I need more feedback so that I can be better. Because at the end of the day, this is not about me. It's about serving the people. Literally, I feel like God just put this in my head because it needs me to serve, and I'm looking for opportunities to serve, right? So I got feedback, and people, some feedback came back like, it was good, it was jam, but it felt like there was not enough time for them to chew on all the speakers. I'm like, that's the point. We want you to get so much within a little time. But I feel like the topic is one that we need to continue to talk about.
Yeah.
Because we really need to impact the next generation about serving, about servant leadership, right? So I wish I could have that opportunity to be able to continue to talk about it, right? To be able to just etch it in the minds of people, especially the young people. We cannot be all about ourselves anymore. Life is too big for that, for you to be all about yourself. And that's why what God taught me through this is just amazing. That Your challenges will be there. They will always be there. So if you sit on them, you would lose out on the things that you're supposed to be doing. You will lose out on the people that you're supposed to be blessing because there is a challenge. Like my challenges would always, they will always, even like right now, my prayer is, God, I agree, but can I move on from this particular challenge to the next one? Because I'm tired of this class. But I know it's not going to end because you get married and like, oh, finally I got married. Then you have to start thinking of getting the child. You finally get a child like, hey, God, when will this child grow up? I'm tired. You know the end. Wahala know the end. But there is just that joy in knowing that even in the midst of those wahala, in the midst of those challenges, you are still able to make an impact in the life of others, which is, I feel like that's like one major essence of us being here on earth, to be able to affect the life of others. And that's one thing that I live for. I want that everybody that I meet gets one way or the other that they are affected positively, even if it's a thought, even if it's an idea. Sometimes I really think God uses me to spark ideas in people. And that's why sometimes I feel like I'm everywhere. So my ideas are not for me. But when I act on them, I give other people permission to see it, that it is possible, and then they run with it. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I might look scattered, but there is a bigger picture, and there is a bigger thing that God is doing with it. And I just want to obey that because I've seen it happen. Really, I sit down and I look at some ideas that I worked on. Could it, even if it's like a YouTube series or something, I just started. And then I would see somehow somebody in my circle who has watched it will get an idea and start their own thing. Yeah. And mine might just fizzle down. But when I see them growing with it, I'm like, fantastic, this is awesome. Keep going. And that's why I keep celebrating people. Keep going. But if I don't do it, they might not even think that it's possible. And so I'm okay with being the igniter or the catalyst or the starter, right? But as long as I'm affecting or I'm impacting somebody positively, I'm okay with it.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ejiro. Thank you so much for this. We appreciate it. People, please go out and get this Becoming Summit
replay. Yes, replay. Go get it. Get it. And then also, let me just plug this in because now I'm also learning to like give the value that I offer, right? So one of the other values that I offer is I train people on how to use your voice, especially narration, audiobooks narration especially, but also there are other things that you can use your voice for. And there are other skills surrounding that, even the editing skills that you can even begin to earn from. I train people, and I have a bootcamp coming up July 11th to 17th. If you are in this space, please better jump in, because the way I'm seeing it, I'm already seeing play in my head. I want to pour into these people that I don't even mind if it's one person. I want to pour into them everything that I know. And I want to support them to actually take action, to use it. Because it's not about, because I have been, a victim of just getting and not using. And it makes you feel stale. It makes you feel incompetent because you know so much, but you're doing so little. And I don't want anybody that will come in contact with me from this moment onwards, because the past is in the past. I've made mistakes, but we move, right? So from this moment onward, anybody who's coming in contact with me should be able to move, use whatever it is I'm teaching to get results. And so that's what we're on. So guys, join us. Let us make some impact together.
Brilliant. All right, Ejiro. Thank you so much. Love you, sis.
Love you
Bye.
too.